Hello, salam alaikum, alaikum salam. One second here. I'm just turning my desk so you guys can see nothing. Okay, all right. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. I'm just gonna give it one more minute for people to join because technically we're starting at 11:30. Put in the chat where you're tuning in from. Um, while we wait this 1 minute together. How are you doing? Put all the good stuff in the chat while we wait together. Okay, it's officially 11:30, so let's get this party started. All right. Salam alaikum, everyone, and welcome back to our live stream on the Book of Islam and the Destiny of Men. And today we're going to be going over pages 20 to 25. If you haven't read the prior pages, then definitely recommend going back and reading those pages. Hold on, let me just, before I really start, confirm that you guys can hear me. If you can't hear me, then please feel free to put it, well, you wouldn't be able to hear me actually put in the chat, but let me just check that before I really get into everything. Let's see. Into everything. All right, yeah, you can hear me. Into everything. All right, yeah, you can hear me. All right, so that's all settled. So, yeah, so today we're going to explore a profound historical and narrative that I'll say it'll change everything you thought you knew about the relationship between Islam and Europe. Maybe. And for those who aren't history geeks, I'll do my best to make it interesting to you as well. What is that? Don't know what that is. This isn't just history, right? This is a story of cultural collision, power dynamics, and the lasting psychological impact on colonialization. So 1 second here. For some reason, let me just forgot to. I'm all over the place today. This is my last interruption. 1 second, sorry. All right. Yeah, I was saying, so grab your notebooks because we're about to unpack something really powerful, really insightful. I do want to give you guys a warning. I know everyone, well, not everyone, I know the majority vote when I put out how long you guys want this to videos to be no longer than 5 to 15 minutes max. But there were like a mix, and I do want to be considerate of those who voted for it to be 20 minutes to an hour. So this episode is very in depth, and it may be a bit longer than the usual one, but stay tuned regardless because there's going to be some interesting things that we're going to discuss that as we look through Islam and the Destiny of Man. So I'm going to break it up into different parts, right? So the first thing that we're looking at is the historical context of Muslim unity and disunity. So let's start with what I thought from the book was a mind-blowing quote. So the quote says, Islam cannot, in principle, be divided into separate and mutually hostile units without self betrayal. Let me know in the comments what you feel about that quote. And let's discuss it. Until you guys write something in the comments, I'm going to continue and I'll stop if you guys do decide to say something. But so imagine a civilization that's so interconnected, right? That its very strength comes from its unity. The Muslim world wasn't just like a collection of territories, which I feel like that's what it's like now. It was like a living, breathing network stretching from Morocco to Indonesia. But here's the tragic twist. Internal rivalries and disunity became their ultimate like weakness, which led to us today to have this disunified and unorganized Muslim community we are in today. Or at least that's how I felt from like these pages. You guys can read it yourself and let me know how you feel. But think about this, right? Close your eyes. Let's make this mental image. So think about a united Islamic world from the Atlantic to Indonesia. Mashallah. But fragmentation, right? That's what the real enemy is. Historically, disunity among Muslims has led to political fragmentations, which weakened the ummah. It weakened the community collective power and made the Muslim world more vulnerable to external aggression, which is our reality today. This unity, it basically hindered progress and undermined Islamic unity and contributed to the decline in the Muslim civilization in various periods and various ways. And if you want more details and info into how the book talks about this, then definitely recommend reading the book. You won't regret it. Um, but the next thing that the book focuses on is the West's cultural and military dominance. And I think that's something that we should definitely think about today as well. Even though this book was written, I think, like in the 1980s, it's still relevant to today. So now let's talk about something even more complex, right? Cultural conquest. So this wasn't just about like military might, right? The book talks about something far more, ugh, that's the best word I can find for it. It's about polite cultural contempt, right? So the Western power didn't just want territories, aka colonialization. We all know that's not what they want. They don't just want a place. They want to improve and instruct the so-called narratives, right? Sorry, narratives, the so-called natives, right? That's what they want to do because they looked at everybody else as uncivilized or whatever in their sick mind they used to look at it as. Just not, if it wasn't them, it wasn't it. That's their mindset, right? But imagine having your deepest cultural and spiritual values systematically undermined by the people who claim to be helping you, right? That's the problem that we have today. That's not just something that's happening back then. This is something that's still happening today. So that psychological warfare, they didn't just destroy the bodies, they attempted to destroy the soul. And they're still doing it today. And if you ask me, that's just my observation. I don't know. If you think I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. But it's up to you, it's up to the youth, to us, as Muslim, to unite and fight to keep spirituality connected, to keep our spirituality connected and being connected to Allah. I don't know why the words weren't coming out properly. But anyways, some key turning points that the book also discuss is, before I even get there, I want to read this part of the book, um, and I just want you guys to really just close your eyes and sink in the words that the author is saying here, because when I read it I was like, oh. But okay, so it says, Heartland remained closed in upon itself, forgetting that the world changes and that worldly dominion is, as the Quran teaches, a momentary thing. The shell which had protected the heartland proved to be no more than an eggshell. It was broken down by Napoleon when he arrived in Alexandria in July 1798 with the plans for marching on Mecca and some talk of him becoming Muslim. So that little part made me question, like, what can we do today to get back to what the Muslim golden age was, right? If y'all have some ideas, let's talk about it together. Put it in the comments. But that's what it made me thought, and it like what can we do to get back the unity that is currently broken, you know? And the only answer, well, one of the only things that came to my mind in that moment was knowledge, right? What made the golden age golden for Muslims? It was the power of knowledge, right? Their ability to think. So we have to do as they did in the past. We have to learn from our ancestors. We have to learn from our history. So the golden times was equipped with their mind. They think, they use reasoning, they ask questions, they were innovative, and that hunger for knowledge and to get closer to Allah is what united them, regardless of the different paths of life that they came from. So that's just how I see it, at least. But enlighten me if you think otherwise. Always love to learn and hear other opinions. But anywho, this part of the book really zooms into some pivotal moments, right, in history, because Napoleon invasion of Alexandria in 1798 wasn't just a military campaign. It was deeper than that. It was symbolic shattering, I would say, of the Islamic world's sense of invisibility. Because before this happened, they were like, "Ooh, we on top." You get what I'm saying? But Napoleon's role, his dream wasn't just a naval victory. It represented a profound shift, right? The beginning of a new global power dynamic where the once mighty Islamic civilization found itself on the defense. That's where it found itself. So, okay, let's talk about something that every Muslim right now is heartbroken about. Can you guys guess what that is? We're gonna talk about from the river to the sea. Y'all know what it is, Gaza. So the author, and this is a crazy part because it just breaks your heart, because you really, like, it sinks in even deeper how long the issue has been going on over there. But because this book was written in 1980s. Anyways, Europe, the author talks about Europe guilt, right? And there's this part of the book I want to read from you guys. It says Europe guilt is Europe's business, and they do not see why they should be expected to suffer from it. Why? Why do you not give the Jews some of the choices of the land of Germany? Period. Then the author goes on and say Americans, if they feel so strongly on the subject, could quite spare one of their 48 states. Remember, this was written in the 80s, 1980s. So yeah. And then the author said Texas, perhaps. I mean, big facts though. Like, why didn't they bring them over here? Why are they over there? Why? So as a home for the Jews, right? So the white man, as the Arab sees it, is more inclined, and not even just the Arabs, let's be for real, as everyone sees it, but in the book specifically, they said the Arabs, um, it's more inclined to give away others people's territory than its own. Because why did you give the Jews Palestine instead of, you know what I mean? Anyway, so this can be seen in every way of how the white man got its global power and how it's currently holding it today. So this part of the book basically argues that the creation of Israel, or we're gonna say is not real, was a result of European guilt. That's all that it was. And the desire to get rid of themselves, of the Jewish population. They were just like, we don't want it. That's what it was, right? And it critiques Zionism. It critiques the Zionist movement and emphasizes on the Jewish separation and its colonialistic like approach to establishing the state of in Palestine. So the author went on and suggested that Palestine, the Palestine issue, is a key factor in the Muslim world's anger towards the West, right? Particularly in the United States, which I think is really interesting because this is in the 1980s. This was written, but let's be for real. I felt as though like I didn't hear people talk about their anger about what's going on in Palestine until what's happening now today. Like you don't be hearing people like it wasn't as to magnitude as up to today, but back here, like in the 1980s, it was clearly like, they were repping it from the get-go, from the jump. So, anyways, as I was saying, particularly in the United States, the key factor to today being disunited as we are, the crazy thing is that, like I said, this was written in 1985. Yet look at what the world is today. Like, look at the result of what happened with Muslims just giving into what the white man says and going into their fate with no works behind it, just losing the strength and its power of innovation, of knowledge, the knowledge it once had, to just becoming a community that doesn't make the world shake. You know what I mean? Like in a positive way for Muslims. Like what do we do now other than what we're obligated to do? You know what I mean? And other than charity, which is mashallah, but other than that, what do we do? What are we doing on an individual level, right? These are the things that I was pondering on as I was reading this part. Like that's why, and this is a side note, but that's why I made Wali. I was hoping one day that this community can influence other Muslims to revert back to its golden age and start using reasoning again. You get what I'm saying? Like to create waves in society and in the world, to start creating things that make the world move. Like I was talking to my best friend and they said something that is going to stick with me, right? And I want to share with you guys. They said Muslim community don't even have a phone for themselves. They don't even have a car for themselves. There's nothing like, and it's embarrassing because when these is not reals were like, oh, you want to boycott all of her stuff, I want to boycott you. They came out and they were like, there was nothing for me to boycott. That's embarrassing, right? And there's nothing that we can use on a daily basis that comes from the Muslim community that I know of. If there is, please tell me. And I'm talking about things that can impact the global community, not just Muslims. You know what I'm saying? For themselves. So we are literally living according to how the white man says fit, because we don't create nothing. We just follow. We just follow. And some people are probably going to hate that I said that, but that is what it is, right? Anywho, let me stop like getting off topic here, but let's go into the next part, right? Of what the book looks into. Another part that I just have to read to you guys is a part that I'm talking about, and it says, and I quote, the impossible had not merely become possible, it had happened, and no great insight was required for Muslims to see that they themselves were at least partly to blame, so that the guilt was joined to humiliation of defeat and subjectation. Despite Western superiority in armaments, technology, and administrative skills, disasters could not have fallen so swiftly or so totally had the Islamic world remained true. This part right here, y'all need to listen to this part. Had remained true to its faith and to its obligation of its faith. No matter what happened, no matter what has been accepted in practice, men being what they are, Islam cannot, in principle, be divided into separate and mutually hostile units without self betrayal. I'm gonna let y'all sink that in. Let me know what y'all think about that in the comments. But here's a crucial part. What do we learn from this, right? We learned that um I like the little shock reaction, but we learned that the Muslim world has declined. Um what was primarily due to internal division and departure from Islamic principles rather than solely external factors, right? Unity doesn't mean uniformity, right? It means collective strength. It means mutual respect. I don't know. Tell me some of the stuff that you think it means. It means staying true to the core principles of Islam, of being Muslim, right? The Islamic world's resilience isn't about military power alone, but about maintaining spiritual and cultural integrity. But what I'm going to say right now might be a little, ooh, sorry in advance, but I'm going to keep it real with y'all. But these days, with all the pain going on in the Muslim world, I believe maybe that we should shift. Personally, I feel as though we need to get with the times, right? And learn how to truly defend ourselves from the wickedness that is against us. Like, we need to gain military power. But once again, I find myself asking, how can we do that when we are currently not even united in thought, right? We're not united in heart, we're not united in mind as a whole, right? And yeah, we want to say that we are, but are we really? Because if we were, then why are all these neighboring countries that are next to Palestine, no sounds, silence, right? Why is it that you hear on the news and this is the part that made me, oh, sorry, I'm sorry, calm down. This is the part that made me upset, right? Why do we hear that in, where was it? Was it y'all correct me? Was it Lebanon? It was somewhere. One of the Muslim countries denied black people from having shelter in the mosque that were also Muslim, and they had to find shelter in churches. Like, what? If we are united, you help all Muslims. We unite together and help each other. And I saw that I lost somebody there based on what I just said. Oopsies. Anyways, as always, I don't want to leave you dry. I want to leave you with something to take away from this. So we're gonna have a journal entry, and I have something for you guys. So get your pens. I don't know, get your computers, get whatever you use to write things down. Let's do our best to stay active in the community and comment what your entry is for this journal entry if you feel empowered to after you like do this. But anyway, so today I dived into the turbulent history of the relationship between Islam and Europe. And clearly, because some people left, either I think it's because of what I said, since they were like watching or listening in this whole time. If you're still listening, then props to you. May Allah bless you and may you learn something from this episode. But as I was saying, it's striking how much the modern world's power dynamic stems from centuries old interactions. One profound takeaway was how Muslims, once leaders in knowledge and unity, face colonization not just of lands, but of minds and values, right? The trauma of polite disdain for Islamic traditions left scars that were so deep, deeper than physical conquests, leaving us, the Muslim community, to become a community that no longer values reasoning and inventions. You know, the parallels to the Crusades, the the imposed westernization and the ongoing struggles in Palestine highlighted how historical wounds remained open when justice feels or is incomplete, right? So it's a sobering reminder of the importance of unity. That's what this few pages spoke about: self-awareness and staying true to one's fate in the face of external pressures. History isn't just in the past. History is the present, the future, it's everything in between. It shapes the present. It's up to us to ensure it doesn't dictate the future, right? So, with all that being said, my burning question that I want you guys to write down and I want you guys to reflect on this week is I really want you guys to think about this. How do we learn from history without being trapped by it? How do we build bridges of understanding in a world that often seems more interested in drawing lines of division, right? Because I feel like that's what we're doing today with the division between, oh, we're Sunnis, and the division between, oh, I'm a Shia, the division between, oh, you know, women and men in the Islamic community, just the divisions that are drawn. How do we build bridges of understanding in the Islamic or the Muslim world that often seems more interested in drawing lines of division? Let me know your answers in the comments. I would love to talk about it because I think it's important for us as a community to discuss how we could think about solving these issues and start to actively work on these things. So, tomorrow I'll continue exploring these ideas, personally, but today I'm grateful for the reminder that history is a school for those who are willing to learn. It's not a prison for those who are traumatized for generation. And unfortunately, that's how I feel the Muslim community has become imprisoned by the trauma of colonization for generations. Because what Muslim is, what it looks like to be Muslim today, it doesn't look like what it looked like, what it was when it was Muslims of the golden age. So, wow, what a journey we've been on today. If you listen to this entire episode, thank you so much. I encourage you to go get the book, Islam and the Destiny of Man, and read it yourself. We can read it together weekly. And for anyone that didn't get this far, I pray, inshallah, that one day they'll finish this entire thing so that they could get to these important questions that I asked at the end because it's important. But drop in the comments what resonated with you the most, what surprised you about what we talked about today, if anything surprised you, or what reminders did you get from this episode. Let's keep the conversation going. Let's build a non-judgmental and supportive community. So please, 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 no arguments in the comments. Keep it civil, keep it holy, keep it halal. So next week, we're going to dive deeper into pages 26 to 30. It's going to be next Thursday. We talk about this every Thursday. So trust me, you do not want to miss it. It's going to be really just say. So please tune in. If you found value in this video, in this discussion, then please smash the like button, subscribe, share with other people if you want to discuss this with your friends or family or just anyone. And I don't know, if you want to start a book club, then join our Discord community. Our Discord community has, a supportive community for people who are interested in Islam or who just, they want they just reverted or they just want to build their faith with Allah and they just want a supportive, non-judgmental community. So let's build this community together of curious minds. So remember to always seek knowledge and to always seek Allah. And yeah, thank you so much for being here today. Tomorrow, I'm going to be live at 5 a.m. Central Time. We're going to wait, let me check what time. Pretty sure that's accurate, but I want to tell you guys the correct thing. You know what I mean? I really hope you guys found today useful. But yeah, tomorrow we're going to be live at 5 a.m. Central Time. We're going to be reading the Quran together or just going over a small part of the Quran together right before Fajr so that we can get a little Quran in our system before we start our day and before we do Fajr. So if you're an early riser and you're looking to get on track before Ramadan starts, then please tune in tomorrow at 5 a.m. for weekly Quranic readings. But yeah, salam alaikum, peace out, knowledge seekers, like, subscribe. Thank you for your support and bye. Salam.